Hello there. It's lovely to be spending this time with you today. Let's talk about something that weighs on the minds and hearts of so many of us as we navigate our later years, our grown-up children. Specifically, that delicate, often perplexing dance between offering support and unintentionally fostering dependence. Have you ever found yourself pausing after offering help? Maybe financial, maybe practical, maybe even just a listening ear, and wondering deep down, am I truly helping them stand taller? Or am I perhaps, inadvertently, making it a bit too comfortable for them not to stand on their own 2 feet? It's a question born not of judgment, but of profound love and a deep-seated desire for their ultimate well-being and independence. This isn't a simple issue, is it? It's layered with decades of history, shaped by the unique personalities of everyone involved, and influenced by a world that looks remarkably different from the one many of us navigated when we were their age. The economic landscape has shifted dramatically. Perhaps you see your children grappling with challenges like precarious job markets, the sheer cost of housing, which seems astronomical compared to what we might remember, or the burden of student loans that linger far longer than they once did. Sometimes circumstances arise, illness, job loss, divorce, that genuinely knock them off course, and our instinct, our powerful parental instinct, is to rush in, to cushion the blow, to provide a safety net. And that instinct is beautiful. It's rooted in love and protection. But alongside that love, there often runs a current of concern. You see their potential, you remember their dreams, and sometimes you might worry if your help, however well-intentioned, is becoming less of a temporary bridge and more of a permanent crutch. Maybe you hear yourself offering advice they don't seem to take. Or perhaps you find yourself providing financial assistance more regularly than you initially intended or even anticipated. You might notice patterns forming, the same requests surfacing repeatedly, a seeming lack of forward momentum on their part in certain areas. It can lead to a tangle of emotions within you, can't it? There's the unwavering love, of course, always central. But perhaps there's also a touch of frustration, a flicker of worry about their future resilience, maybe even a little guilt, wondering if you've somehow missed a step in preparing them for the full weight of adult responsibility. And sometimes, just sometimes, there might be a quiet sense of being taken slightly for granted, or conversely, a feeling of being pushed away when you try to offer support in a way that encourages their growth. It's important to acknowledge how complex this feels. You've poured your life into raising these individuals. You've celebrated their triumphs, nursed their hurts, and guided them through countless challenges. Letting go, or rather adjusting the way we support them as adults, requires a significant shift in perspective. It's not about withdrawing love or abandoning them in times of need. Absolutely not. It's about recalibrating the relationship to reflect their adulthood, fostering their competence, and ultimately empowering them to navigate their own lives successfully, with all the satisfaction and self-worth that brings. You want them to feel capable, resourceful, and proud of their own achievements. Seeing them thrive independently is perhaps the greatest reward of parenthood, isn't it? Finding that sweet spot, the place where your support empowers rather than enables, is the journey we're going to explore together. It involves understanding the different types of support we can offer, recognizing that emotional encouragement can sometimes be far more valuable in the long run than a quick financial fix. It involves learning the subtle art of setting healthy boundaries that protect your own well-being and resources while also encouraging your children to develop their own. It requires open, honest, and sometimes difficult conversations, approached with empathy and a focus on mutual respect. And crucially, it involves shifting our focus from simply solving their immediate problems to helping them build the skills and the confidence to solve their own problems. Think of it not as pulling away, but as adjusting your role. You transition from being the primary architect of their lives to being their most trusted advisor, their steadfast cheerleader, and yes, still a safety net for genuine crises, but one that encourages them to bounce back stronger rather than simply resting indefinitely. It's about nurturing their resilience, their problem-solving abilities, and their sense of personal agency. In our next chapter together, we will delve much deeper into the practical side of this. We'll look closely at specific strategies and communication techniques. We'll explore how to differentiate between genuine need and patterns of dependence. We'll discuss ways to offer support that actively builds their capabilities, perhaps helping them budget instead of just giving money, or guiding them through a job search rather than making calls for them. We'll talk about the importance of consistency and how to manage your own emotions throughout this process. The goal isn't to create distance, but to foster a healthier, more balanced, and ultimately more rewarding relationship for everyone involved, one built on mutual respect and the shared joy of seeing them flourish as capable, independent adults. This exploration is about finding ways to continue expressing your profound love in ways that truly serve their long-term happiness and success. Let's get ready to explore those practical steps together. All right, let's roll up our sleeves a bit now and delve into the heart of the matter. The practical ways you can navigate this complex terrain of supporting your adult children while championing their independence. We touched upon the why in our last chat. Now, let's focus on the how. Remember, the goal here isn't about cutting ties or withholding love. It's about transforming your support into a force that empowers, builds resilience, and ultimately helps them lead fulfilling, self-sufficient lives. First, and perhaps most fundamentally, it's crucial to develop the skill of differentiating between genuine, often temporary need and a more ingrained pattern of dependence. This isn't always easy, I know. Our hearts naturally go out to our children when they seem to be struggling. But taking a moment for gentle, objective assessment can make all the difference. Is this situation a true crisis, a sudden job loss, an unexpected health issue, a significant setback that requires immediate, short-term assistance? Or is it part of a recurring theme, perhaps a consistent inability to manage finances despite adequate income, a reluctance to seriously pursue employment, or repeatedly leaning on you to solve problems they could potentially handle themselves? Think about the context. Is this a one-off event triggered by external circumstances beyond their control, or does it feel like a familiar cycle? For instance, imagine a son who loses his job due to company downsizing. Helping him cover rent for a month or two while he actively searches for new work, perhaps offering assistance with his resume, falls squarely into the category of supporting genuine need. Contrast this with a situation where, month after month, he finds himself short on rent due to impulsive spending or inconsistent work habits, expecting you to bridge the gap. While the immediate problem, lack of rent money, might look similar, the underlying dynamic is vastly different. In the second case, repeatedly providing the funds without addressing the root cause, the spending habits or work ethic, enables the pattern to continue. Learning to pause and ask yourself, what's really going on here, is the first step. It's not about being suspicious. It's about being discerning for their long-term benefit. Once you have a clearer sense of the situation, the next powerful step is to shift your focus from direct financial handouts to strategies that empower. This is the classic teach a person to fish principle in action. When the request is financial, consider alternatives to simply writing a check. Could you offer to sit down with them, and help create a realistic budget? Perhaps you could help them research debt consolidation options or connect them with a reputable nonprofit credit counseling service. If the issue is employment, instead of leveraging your own contacts to get them a job, which can sometimes bypass their own learning process, could you offer to proofread their resume, conduct mock interviews, or help them identify relevant training or courses? Maybe you could gift them a session with a career coach. Think about what skills or resources they lack to solve this problem themselves and focus your support there. For example, let's say your daughter wants to start a small home-based business but lacks startup funds. Instead of giving her the full amount, perhaps you offer a smaller loan with a clear repayment plan. Or better yet, you help her research small business grants or work with her to develop a solid business plan she can use to seek funding herself. This approach sends a powerful message. I believe in your ability to figure this out, and I'm here to support you in developing the tools you need. Yes, this often requires more time and effort than simply giving money, and sometimes your child might initially resist, preferring the quicker fix. But the long-term payoff in terms of their confidence and capability is immeasurable. You are investing in their future competence, not just alleviating their present discomfort. This naturally leads us to one of the most vital and sometimes most difficult aspects: setting and maintaining clear, healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep your children out. They are more like fences that define your property, your time, your energy, your finances, and your emotional well-being, while also providing clarity and structure for the relationship. Without boundaries, it's easy for support to morph into enabling, and for resentment to quietly build on either side. What do these boundaries look like? They need to be specific and communicated kindly but firmly. Examples might include, "We are happy to help you with a deposit for an apartment, but we won't be able to co-sign the lease." Or, "I can help with babysitting on Tuesday afternoons if planned in advance, but I can't be available for last-minute calls." Financially, it might be, "We've budgeted to help you with X amount towards your student loans this year, but beyond that, you'll need to manage the payments." Or simply, "I love you, but I cannot lend you any more money right now." Communicating these boundaries requires courage. It's helpful to use I statements, "I feel stretched when," or "I need to," rather than accusatory, "you always" language. The key is consistency. If you set a boundary but then give in repeatedly, the boundary loses its meaning, and the pattern of dependency is reinforced. Remember, boundaries protect you from burnout and financial strain, allowing you to offer support sustainably. More importantly, they provide your adult children with the predictability and structure they need to develop their own resourcefulness. They learn what they can realistically expect from you and what they need to take responsibility for themselves. This clarity, while potentially uncomfortable initially, fosters respect and encourages them to step up. Think of it as providing a sturdy framework within which they can grow. Alongside setting boundaries, it's incredibly important to master the art of communication, particularly learning to listen more and resist the urge to immediately fix things. As parents, we often have a strong instinct to solve our children's problems, to offer solutions, to smooth the path. But as they navigate adulthood, sometimes the most profound support you can offer is simply a listening ear and a space for them to process their own thoughts and feelings. When your child comes to you with a problem, try practicing active listening. Put away distractions, make eye contact, and truly focus on what they are saying, both verbally and non-verbally. Reflect back what you hear, so it sounds like you're feeling really overwhelmed by, to ensure understanding and validate their emotions. That sounds incredibly stressful. Resist the powerful temptation to jump in with unsolicited advice or to take over the situation. Instead, try asking open-ended questions that encourage their problem-solving. What options have you considered so far? What do you think your next step might be? What support do you think would be most helpful from me right now? Sometimes, simply talking through the problem out loud helps them arrive at their own solution. Your role shifts from being the fixer to being a trusted sounding board and guide. This approach not only respects their autonomy, but actively builds their confidence in their own ability to handle challenges. They learn that you trust their judgment even when they stumble. Finally, never underestimate the immense power of offering non-material support. In our focus on practical or financial help, we can sometimes overlook the deep, enduring value of emotional encouragement, steadfast belief, and shared wisdom. Celebrating their efforts, not just their successes, can be incredibly motivating. Offering genuine encouragement when they face setbacks, "I know this is tough, but I believe you can get through it," can bolster their resilience more than any financial gift. Simply being a stable, loving presence in their lives, someone they know they can turn to for understanding, even if not for a bailout, is invaluable. Sharing your own relevant life experiences, stories of overcoming challenges, lessons learned, shared humbly, not as lectures, can offer perspective and hope. Practical help, when appropriate and not fostering dependence, is also part of this. Perhaps offering a home-cooked meal during a stressful week, helping with a specific, time-limited task like packing for a move, or providing reliable, pre-agreed childcare if it works for your schedule and energy levels. This kind of support strengthens the emotional connection, reinforces your love, and builds their inner resources without creating reliance. It reminds them, and you, that your relationship is built on far more than financial transactions or problem-solving. It's built on love, respect, and a shared history. Your wisdom, your perspective, and your unwavering belief in them are perhaps the greatest gifts you can offer as they navigate their adult lives. Implementing these strategies takes patience, courage, and consistency. It might feel awkward at first, and there may be bumps along the road. But by discerning need from dependence, empowering over enabling, setting clear boundaries, listening actively, and offering rich non-material support, you create the conditions for your adult children to truly thrive. You are not stepping back. You are stepping alongside them in a new, more empowering way. In our final chapter, we'll reflect on this journey, summarizing these key ideas and focusing on the mindset and long-term perspective that makes this approach not just effective, but deeply rewarding. So, here we are, having journeyed together through some quite personal and often complex territory. We've explored that delicate balance, haven't we? The profound desire to support the adult children we love so dearly, interwoven with the equally important need to foster their independence and resilience. It's like tending a mature garden. The intensive watering and constant weeding of early years gradually gives way to a different kind of care, providing structure for growth, pruning gently where needed, and mostly trusting the plant to reach for the sun on its own, knowing its roots are strong. Let's gently gather the threads of our conversation, reflecting on the core ideas we discussed. We began by acknowledging the absolute normalcy of wanting to help, that deep parental instinct. But we also recognized the importance of learning to discern the nature of the need. Was it a sudden storm requiring immediate shelter, or a recurring pattern suggesting a need for different kinds of support? Taking that moment to pause and assess, not with suspicion, but with loving wisdom, became our starting point. It's about understanding the underlying dynamics, distinguishing temporary setbacks from cycles of dependence, so that our help truly helps in the long run. From there, we embraced the powerful shift from simply providing solutions, particularly financial ones, to actively empowering our children. Remember the "teach a person to fish" idea? This was about channeling our support into building their skills, their confidence, their resourcefulness. Instead of just giving money, perhaps it was helping them budget, research options, or connect with resources. Instead of making calls on their behalf, maybe it was practicing interview skills or proofreading a resume. This approach, while sometimes requiring more patience and effort from us, is a true investment in their long-term capability. It sends the message, "I believe in you, and I'm here to help you build the tools you need to succeed on your own terms." It transforms our support from a temporary fix into a lasting foundation for their self-reliance. Then, we tackled what is often the most challenging part: setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. We reframed boundaries not as acts of withdrawal, but as necessary structures for healthy relationships, like the banks of a river guiding the flow. These boundaries, whether around our time, energy, or finances, protect our own well-being, ensuring we can continue to offer support sustainably. More crucially, they provide our adult children with the clarity and predictability they need to step up and take ownership. Communicating these limits kindly, firmly, and consistently, using "I" statements and focusing on mutual respect is key. It might feel uncomfortable initially, perhaps even leading to pushback, but ultimately, clear boundaries foster respect and encourage personal responsibility. They are, in their own way, a profound expression of love. Love that respects both their adulthood and our own needs. We also highlighted the immense value of communication, particularly the art of truly listening. Resisting that powerful urge to jump in immediately with advice or solutions and instead offering a patient, empathetic ear can be one of the most supportive things we do. Asking open-ended questions like, "What have you thought about?" or "How can I best support you as you work through this?" shifts the dynamic. It positions us as trusted confidants and guides rather than default problem solvers. This validates their feelings, respects their autonomy, and, crucially, builds their own confidence in their ability to navigate challenges. It fosters a deeper connection based on understanding, not just intervention. And finally, we celebrated the profound impact of non-material support. In a world often focused on the tangible, we reminded ourselves of the enduring power of emotional encouragement, steadfast belief, shared wisdom, offered gently, and simply being a consistent, loving presence. Celebrating effort, offering comfort during setbacks, sharing relevant life lessons, or providing practical help that doesn't undermine their independence, like a home-cooked meal or pre-agreed help with a specific task. These acts weave a strong fabric of connection. They reinforce our love in ways that build their inner strength and resilience far more effectively than any financial transaction ever could. This is the heart of the relationship, the unconditional, positive regard that sustains them long after specific problems are resolved. Now, stepping back, let's consider the broader perspective. Embracing this approach requires a significant internal shift. It asks us to redefine, somewhat, what it means to be a loving parent to an adult. It means recognizing that our children's struggles are their opportunities for growth, not necessarily our failures as parents. It involves accepting that we cannot, and indeed should not, shield them from every difficulty life throws their way. True resilience isn't built in the absence of challenges, but in learning to navigate them successfully. Our role evolves from chief protector and provider to trusted advisor, consistent cheerleader, and reliable safety net for genuine crises. This transition isn't always smooth. There might be moments of guilt. Are we doing enough? There might be moments of frustration. Why aren't they stepping up? There might even be moments of grief for the earlier dynamic, where we felt more central, more needed in a particular way. These feelings are all valid and part of the process. It's important to be kind to ourselves as we navigate this adjustment, just as we aim to be kind to our children. Remember, the goal isn't detachment. It's a recalibrated connection that honors their adulthood. Think about the incredible potential benefits of this approach, not just for your children, but for you, and your relationship with them. When your children develop greater self-sufficiency, they also gain immense self-esteem and a sense of competence. Seeing them stand tall, navigate challenges resourcefully, and build lives they are proud of. Isn't that the ultimate reward? For you, setting healthy boundaries can alleviate financial strain and emotional burnout, freeing up energy to enjoy your own life more fully, your hobbies, your friendships, your well-deserved peace. And perhaps most beautifully, this approach can lead to a more mature, respectful, and balanced relationship with your children, one based on mutual appreciation rather than obligation or dependence. It allows you to connect as adults, sharing life's joys and sorrows from a place of greater equality and mutual understanding. This path requires courage. The courage to have difficult conversations. The courage to step back when your instinct is to step in. The courage to trust your children's ability to find their way, even if their path looks different from the one you might have chosen for them. It requires patience, as growth takes time and setbacks are inevitable. And it requires unwavering love, a love that is wise enough to know that sometimes the most supportive thing we can do is to allow them the space to learn, to strive, and to ultimately succeed on their own merits. So, as you move forward, hold on to this thought. Supporting your adult children without enabling dependency is perhaps one of the final, most profound acts of parenting. It's about loving them enough to foster their wings, even when your arms ache to hold them close. It's about trusting the foundation you helped build and having faith in their capacity to construct their own strong, fulfilling lives upon it. Your love remains the constant, the anchor, but its expression evolves, empowering them to navigate their own seas with confidence and skill. And that, truly, is a legacy of love that endures.